Maybe they're trying to really take the pulse of the nation to see whether or not they are going to really oppose the coup. Where is going to be the public opinion? Where is going to be the public stand? What kind of holes would be in the plan? So looking at the small scale of it, and in some ways some sloppy nature that this coup carried, unlike the coup in 1980s, I would say this was the experimental warm-up coup to lead to a bigger coup. Now, in this case, the people in Turkey, they played a major role. And that has been shown, basically, the enemies of Erdogan, the Western countries, NATO, that it's not going to be that easy. I mean, you had these people, despite all the tanks pouring out on the street, listening to Erdogan saying, don't stay home, get out and fight it. Get out and fight it, because no matter how big of a military we are talking about, how big of an FBI, think about millions of people, what kind of power they would have despite the tanks and the guns. And the Turkish people, the supporters, the nationalists, they listened to that and they did exactly that. Now, this is in a way a positive thing to show, because Spiro and I, we were talking about this and we said, would we see similar kind of reaction in the US if we had a situation like this? Or would people go with their little cell phone under the bed and say, wake me up or let me know when it's over so I can get out because it's so dangerous out there? I mean, 270 plus people lost their lives. These people actually, they climb these tanks. Okay. And they were not armed because they don't, they don't have the gun rights in Turkey. So it was their fists. It was their arms. It was their determination to say, I'm going to put my life on the line to stop these coup, a coup that is being planned by the outside nations. And of course, as you just said, James, the way it's being portrayed in the United States is just amazing. Not amazing to you and I, but amazing that it is still being tried. Because imagine Americans, there is an outside nation that infiltrates this military and says, you go there and create this coup in the United States. We would want those people hung. We would want that nation to be nuked. And yet they are forming and shaping the public opinion in the Western countries as here's a staged event by Erdogan, and turning the tables and they're making it about him being an evil.
All right. The question about the next step, I think, is extremely important here, because as you say, if this was just a practice run or a warm-up, then I guess the question is what happens between now and then in terms of cleaning house. And we are seeing thousands of people being rounded up right now. But the most important part of this potentially is Gulen and what happens, as you say, a figurehead, a senile old figurehead at this point, but still the central part of the faction, the CIA faction that's working against Erdogan right now. Now, there has been a lot of talk about Gulen extradition and calling for his extradition, but there has been no formal extradition call yet, at least as we're recording this. The latest from Stars and Stripes, stripes.com, July 17th, 2016. Kerry says U.S. awaits formal request for Gulen extradition, saying that we have not had a formal request for extradition. This has to come in a formal package. Give us the evidence. Show us the evidence. We need a solid legal foundation that meets the standard of extradition in order for our courts to approve such a request. Is this really going to go ahead? Is the Erdogan government going to make a formal extradition call for Gulen? And if so, how does the U.S. counter that? And what's going to be the next step in all of this?
Oh, wow, these were loaded questions, James. I will basically chop it in 3 segments in order to answer it comprehensively. As far as I have been reading, especially since 2013, Turkish Justice Department of Justice Department in Turkey, Adliye Bakanlığı, they have been sending all the things that are being requested by the FBI and the Justice Department here on Fethullah Gülen, okay? And so, of course, the bureaucracy is playing, oh, they didn't maybe tick this box, so we're going to send it back. Or maybe the signature was kind of faded, so we are still looking to authenticate the signature of the person who authorized this extradition request. That's the biggest bullshit I've ever heard. Turkey has been on the record demanding this man's extradition. Not only that, this terrorist Mullah Gulen, who operates the biggest charter school chain in the United States, has been under the FBI investigation for money laundering and all sorts of other criminal activities since 2009, 2010. I mean, you're looking at an organization that is linked to so many different kind of terror financing, money laundering, and also spreading extreme ideas. They're operating centered in the United States. I think as far as the extradition is concerned, what we will be seeing is, even if they say, oh, now we have the formal extradition request, they can sit on that and make it last for 2-3 years, because they're going to give him an opportunity to appeal that. And then after that, to appeal that particular decision, so they can drag it at least for 2 years. But I have seen and heard people floating the idea that his health has been deteriorating, Fethullah Gulen. The more likely scenario is he's going to die. You know, he's going to have a stroke, be hospitalized, or just die while all this extradition tango dance is taking place for show only between Turkey and the United States. But the most important point here is whether with Gulen's extradition being formalized, acknowledged by the United States or not, the real coup is not the one that was tried, that we saw on Friday. It is not over. Turkish people should not let their guards down. They should not get comfortable and say, hooray, we have rounded up 2,500, 3,000 people. The number, when we are looking realistically for Gulen network, including all the judges, you're looking at his own national security advisor, being the snake that they just arrested. It's far bigger than 2,500 or 3,000. But also, we should pay close attention to other signs out there indicating the coming coup, the real stuff. For example, they just declared that out of the Incirlik NATO base, this is the securest air base on the planet. I would say it's even more secure than the ones we see in the United States. 42 helicopters missing. They walked out 42 helicopters from NATO's Incirlik base. And even though for the past half century, the United States and its allies, NATO allies, they have been keeping quiet how many nuclear warheads they have put inside the Turkey, okay? And it's not only Incirlik military air base as they are advertising. Turkey has had nuclear warheads for a long, long time. Just like Israel issue, that has been always kept quiet. And the 90 plus ones in NATO airbase is justified as NATO airbase. If you pay close attention, James, they keep floating now. You know, these nuclear warheads, what if ISIS gets there? Okay? Think about this airbase that has weathered the entire Cold War era with no penetration, no danger, right? All the Al-Qaeda stuff, the military coup, and before that, the anarchy period in Turkey. And now suddenly, you see them advertising the importance of the nuclear warheads in Incirlik base in Turkey. That is significant. That is going to be tied to the coming coup, because that would justify NATO and allies' action, because they have to go there, remove Erdogan, keep the country secure so that we won't be nuked. That's what they're going to use. And where the heck those 42 helicopters are today. And how the heck can you take out 42 helicopters from one of the most secure airbase in the world? So that's the kind of a BS line that they are selling, the mainstream media, to the people. But Turkish people have a role to play. We know, they know that the masterminds are here, CIA/NATO, the deep state, the Operation Gladio B. They know the network's head is here in the United States, and United States has been harboring this terrorist, this mullah, this ayatollah in the United States. And they can put pressure on Erdogan or facilitate his maybe already existing desire of playing tough, because Turkey can play tough. Why don't they shut down the US consulates in Turkey? Wouldn't we have done that, let's say, in the United States, if it was, we shut down Iran's embassy and consulates, declared them as an enemy working against the United States? They can put pressure on the United States. In fact, they should shut down the base and say it can't be operational. They can shut down the US consulate. And there are enough Turkish people here that can actually assert some level of influence. They know where his foundation's quarters are, Gulen. They are trying to implement warm-up coup and then a big coup. I mean, Turks, they can be in some regards very brave, and they can should come and take their own man, put them in big crates and take them back into Turkey and hang them. But there are things that people can do in Turkey, and it's time for them to get tough and just go beyond talking the talk. We had those brave people who truly put their lives on the line. These people, it's not political ideology. It was saying we are not going to have foreign powers coming and implement coups here in our country.